Oh, nice. So let's dive right in. Imagine a game, right? It drops you straight into the middle of the American Revolution, but you're not just watching. You're like a key player, caught up in this huge secret war, fighting over the future of, well, the entire country. And then get this, the whole big story arc. Apparently for years, it was supposed to end with like this giant solar flare and humanity escaping on a spaceship to start over.
Yeah, like a full sci-fi ending, Adam and Eve style.
But then they just changed it, completely pivoted to keep the series going. Pretty wild turn, isn't it?
Today we're doing a deep dive into Assassin's Creed III. This was the 5th major game in Ubisoft's, huge historical action series. And it wasn't just another sequel. It felt like they were trying to really redefine things.
Oh, absolutely. What's so fascinating about AC3 is how it aimed to, well, reinvent the franchise. Not just by shifting to a new historical setting, which was big enough, but they brought in a brand new engine, made some really daring story choices. Choices that genuinely shaped the direction of the series for years after. It really pushed things. So our mission today, essentially, is to explore that ambition. We'll look at the gameplay, those big innovations they introduced. We'll dissect the story, which gets surprisingly complex, weaving through real history. And we'll uncover the development journey, which was pretty extensive, full of twists itself. Plus, we need to talk about its impact, the controversies, its legacy, all based on the detailed stuff you shared.
Exactly. And by the end of this, you should walk away with a really solid understanding of AC3, from how it plays, its historical context, right down to how it was actually made behind the scenes. Hopefully you'll see the game, maybe the whole series, in a new light. So, yeah, get ready. We're looking at a revolution within a revolution here.
All right.
Setting the scene. A revolutionary game at a glance. All right, let's set the scene properly for this one. Assassin's Creed III came out in 2012. It's an action-adventure game, heavy on the stealth elements, of course. 5th major installment, like we said, and a direct sequel to Revelations from 2011. So it picks up right where that left off.
And at its core, AC3, like all the games, is really about this ancient hidden war. You've got the assassins on one side fighting for peace through free will, and then the Templars, who also want peace, but they believe the only way is through control, through order. This huge ideological conflict has been going on for millennia, kind of bubbling under the surface of history. It's the secret engine driving almost everything you see in the game.
And this whole conflict plays out across 2 timelines, which is classic Assassin's Creed. First, you've got the modern-day story, the 21st century bit. We're still following Desmond Miles, the main modern protagonist up to this point. He's using the Animus machine, this VR thing, to relive his ancestors' memories. And his mission is urgent, like really urgent. He's trying to find ancient knowledge to stop a solar flare, one that's predicted to basically wipe out most of humanity on December 21st, 2012.
Right, that ticking clock adds so much pressure to everything Desmond does. It's not just about jumping into history. He's got real-world missions, too. Sneaking into skyscrapers, stadiums, even raiding the Templar HQ at Abstergo in Rome. It's pretty high stakes.
Then the bulk of the game, the main event, throws you into 18th century colonial America, specifically between 1754 and 1783.
Which is just an incredibly rich period. You've got the French and Indian War kicking things off, and then, of course, the full-blown American Revolution itself.
Yeah.
You're right there in the thick of these huge historical moments.
And unusually for this game, we get 2 main historical protagonists. You actually start the game for the first few hours playing as Haytham Kenway.
Yeah, a British Templar, which was a brilliant, well-kept secret before launch.
Totally unexpected. His part is basically the prologue, sequences 1 to 3, set around 1754, 1755. And he's there establishing the Templar foothold in the American colonies, setting up the conflict to come.
And then, the main protagonist emerges, Ratonhnhaké. He's Haytham's son, actually, half Mohawk. He later takes the name Connor. His motivation is deeply personal. His mother, Kenyati.io, is killed in an attack on their village. He blames the Templar Charles Lee initially.
Right. And his journey really kicks off in 1769. The village elder tells him about their duty to protect this ancient temple, a first civilization site, gives him a crystal ball, and this ancient being, Juno, starts talking to him.
Juno guides him to Achilles Davenport, who's this retired, kind of jaded assassin. Achilles is reluctant at first, but eventually agrees to train him.
And Achilles is the one who suggests the name Connor, right, to help him blend in.
Exactly. It makes it easier for him to move around the colonies unnoticed.
Now, here's a really key thing about AC3. It wasn't just a news story. They rebuilt the tech underneath. They introduced a whole new game engine called AnvilNext.
Yeah, this was a massive deal. Not just an update, a complete overhaul from the old Anvil engine. It was built specifically for Assassin's Creed III.
And the goals were pretty lofty. They wanted improved visuals, character models, and AI. And crucially, it allowed for battlefields full of fighters, hundreds of characters on screen at once.
Which brought that Revolutionary War scale to life in a way the older games just couldn't manage. Ubisoft even said they wanted it to look next-gen, but on the PS3 and Xbox 360. That was the power of AnvilNext.
So what exactly could they do with this new engine that they couldn't before?
Well, it enabled much more dynamic environments, for one. Weather effects that actually impacted gameplay, larger, more complex crowds in the cities, and that incredibly fluid tree running and traversal you see in the frontier wilderness. That was all AnvilNext.
It really opened up the world.
Definitely. Expanded what an Assassin's Creed open world could even be. And speaking of updates, we should mention the remastered version too. Came out in 2019 for the main consoles and PC, then later for Stadia in 2021.
Right, that promised better visuals, lighting, higher resolution.
And it delivered, mostly. Updated character models, some tweaks to the gameplay mechanics too, made it feel a bit more modern. And crucially, it bundled in all the DLC, the downloadable content.
But no multiplayer in the remaster, right?
No, the multiplayer component was removed. Servers were likely shut down by then anyway. 2. Unpacking the gameplay innovations. More than just a climb.
Okay, let's get into the gameplay itself, because AC Athia really tried to shake things up here, especially with how big and dynamic the open world felt.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
The world design was incredibly ambitious. You had the main cities, Boston and New York. Both were explorable, recreated with historical detail. But the big surprise, the real game changer, was the American colonial frontier.
That huge wilderness area.
Massive. Forests, cliffs, rivers. It included Connor's Mohawk village, Lexington, Concord. And it wasn't just scenery. Ubisoft said about a third of the main story actually happens out there in the frontier.
Which was a big shift from the cities of the earlier games.
Definitely. And you weren't just stuck there. You visited Philadelphia briefly in the story, and you even went down to the Caribbean for the naval missions.
Ah, yes, the naval stuff. We'll get to that. But the whole eastern seaboard felt explorable.
It did, largely thanks to Connor's ship, the Aquila. But before we hit the high seas, let's talk movement and combat on land. The free running, the parkour, they simplified it, made it feel more fluid.
Easier to just hold a button and go.
Pretty much. And crucially, you could do it on natural terrain now. Climbing trees, running along branches, scrambling up cliffs. It blended seamlessly with the wilderness setting.
And the combat felt different too, more aggressive maybe.
Yeah, they really revamped it. Connor could dual-wield weapons like a sword and dagger or tomahawk and knife. This allowed for these really slick multi-opponent takedowns, much more dynamic.
And they got rid of the lock-on. That was a big change.
Huge. No more manual lock-on. It forced you to be more aware of your surroundings, more reactive, made combat feel less static.
The arsenal was pretty diverse too.
Oh, yeah. Muskets, swords, pistols, obviously. But also native weapons like the tomahawk, bow and arrow, and the rope dart. That thing was cool.
You could pull enemies off ledges, hang them.
String them up, yeah. Or use it as a tripwire almost. Plus the classic hidden blades, of course.
And using enemies as human shields against firing lines. That was new and pretty useful.
Added a nice tactical layer to those gunfights.
Health change too, right? No more medicine.
Right, automatic health regeneration, which kept the pace of combat flowing faster. Less stopping to heal.
Stealth got some tweaks too. More natural feeling.
I'd say so. You could use tall grass, bushes, trees for cover much more effectively. And the blending mechanic was improved. You could blend between any two people. Not just specific groups, more flexible.
The world itself felt more alive, too. The weather and seasons changing.
Yeah, and it wasn't just cosmetic. Snow, fog, rain, they actually affected gameplay.
Like snow reducing visibility for you and enemies.
Exactly. Made stealth easier, or sometimes harder, depending on the situation. Seasons changed the look and feel, but also things like animal availability for hunting.
Ah, the hunting. That was a big new system.
It really was. The frontier was packed with animals, deer, wolves, bears, beavers, rabbits, and hunting them became this whole economic loop.
Selling the meat and pelts.
Meat, marrow, pelts, yeah. And the quality of your kill mattered. A clean kill with a bow got you a better price than blasting it with a musket. It encouraged using traps, bait, stealthy approaches, almost like a mini survival sim embedded in the game.
And that tied into the homestead, right? Building up your own little settlement.
The Davenport Homestead, yeah, Connor's adopted home. It becomes this hub. You find these displaced people, carpenters, tailors, farmers affected by the war.
And you do missions for them, help them out.
Right. And as you help them, they settle at the homestead. Then you could start crafting things. Weapons, items, furniture.
Trade goods, send out caravans to the cities.
Exactly. You build up this whole little microeconomy. And the settlers even interact, form relationships, build a community.
Yeah.
It was surprisingly deep and quite charming.
Made you feel like you were actually building something lasting.
It did. And speaking of building, the recruitment system came back.
From Brotherhood, yeah. But different this time.
A bit different. You were limited to only 6 recruits, fewer than before. But each one had a unique personality, a backstory, and a much wider range of skills.
What could they do?
Things like incite riots, act as a bodyguard, set up ambushes, much more specialized abilities. So it was quality over quantity. Each recruit felt more significant.
The game was also just stuffed with side activity.
Oh, massively. Collecting Ben Franklin's almanac pages was fun, like little puzzle platforming challenges.
Exploring the underground tunnels in the cities to unlock fast travel points.
Joining the hunting clubs, the fighting clubs, brawler challenges.
Investigating those weird frontier rumors. UFOs, Sasquatch.
Yeah, those added some fun flavor. And the Peg-Leg missions.
Finding Captain Kidd's treasure. Those are cool little self-contained adventures.
They really were. Plus, for the first time, actual playable mini-games. Bowls, checkers, Fanarona, Nine Men's Morris, little diversions.
But the biggest new gameplay pillar, the one everyone remembers, has to be the naval stuff.
Absolutely groundbreaking for the series. You got to captain your own warship, the Aquila.
A brig.
A brig, yeah. And you could upgrade a better cannon, stronger hull, faster sails. And controlling it felt, well, weighty, realistic almost.
Wind direction mattered. Storms.
Hugely. Wind speed and direction determined your maneuverability. You had to deal with storms, massive waves, hidden rocks. It felt challenging but fair.
And the combat at sea.
Fantastic. Broadside cannons, obviously. Swivel guns for smaller targets.
You could board smaller ships too, right? For loot?
Yep. Disable them, board them, take their cargo.
Oh,
And you could use chain shot to take down the masts of bigger ships, cripple them.
It just created these incredibly epic cinematic sea battles. Became an instant fan favorite.
No question. It was almost a game within the game.
So putting it all together, what did this mean for the player experience?
It meant a much more varied experience. You weren't just doing parkour and assassinations. You were hunting, crafting, building a community, commanding a warship.
A much broader, more detailed interaction with the world. And a feeling of real impact, especially with the Homestead economy.
And connecting that to the bigger picture, that naval gameplay wasn't just a side dish. It proved Assassin's Creed could successfully integrate entirely new, large-scale gameplay systems.
Became a staple for future games like Black Flag.
Exactly. AC3 laid the groundwork for that. It showed the potential for much broader experiences within the franchise formula.
We should briefly mention the Wii U version, too. Had some unique features with the gamepad.
Right, you could swap weapons using the touchscreen, have the map always visible down there.
And off-TV play, letting you play the whole game on the gamepad screen itself.
Little conveniences, taking advantage of the hardware.
And multiplayer. It made a return.
It did. Developed by Ubisoft Annecy, they brought back competitive modes, but also added new stuff, like Wolfpack.
That was the co-op mode, right? Up to 4 players?
Yeah, you work together to assassinate AI targets against the clock through 25 waves. Pretty intense.
And Domination, the team-based mode?
Capture and hold zones, classic objective play.
Though, sadly, those servers aren't active anymore.
No, they were shut down in late 2022, which is pretty standard for older games.
Finally, let's circle back to the remastered version again. It didn't just improve visuals, it tweaked gameplay, too.
It did make some nice quality of life changes, like being able to whistle from cover anywhere, not just corners. That was a big stealth improvement.
Double assassinations became easier.
Yeah, no need to be in high-profile mode, just smoother.
And free aiming with the bow and pistols. More control.
Much more control. Felt less clunky, more modern. They also upgraded the minimap, the UI, added colorblind modes, good accessibility improvements.
And the crafting and economy systems got an overhaul.
Vastly upgraded, yeah. More intuitive, easier to manage.
Yeah.
Plus those visual upgrades. The lighting system was more like Origins. Textures looked sharper, closer to the newer engine tech. Made it look significantly better. 3. A deep dive into the narrative and characters. History, secrets, and sacrifice.
Okay, let's really dig into the story now. Because the narrative of Assassin's Creed III is dense, complex, and full of surprises.
It absolutely is. So picking up after Revelations, the modern-day crew Desmond, his dad William, Sean, Rebecca, or brother, They find the Grand Temple, this huge first civilization structure hidden in a cave in New York. They use their Apple of Eden artifact to get inside.
And Juno, one of those ancient beings, starts interacting with Desmond.
Right. And Desmond needs to use the Animus again, partly to find clues to save the world, but also because he's suffering from this dissociative fugue. His own mind is kind of merging with its ancestors. Juno nudges him towards Haytham Kenway's memories first.
And this is where the game pulls its biggest trick, that massive prologue. Starting in 1754, you're playing as Haytham, this suave British Templar.
His mission from the Templar Order is to find a precursor temple in America. The game literally opens with him assassinating someone at the Royal Opera House for a key. Sets the tone immediately.
He comes to the colonies, recruits allies,
And meets Kanedi.io, the Mohawk woman, falls in love with her. She becomes Connor's mother.
They even work together briefly, taking out General Braddock.
They do, but Haytham finds he can't access the temple's inner chambers. The key he has isn't for the main door, essentially.
So after that realization, Desmond shifts focus in the Animus.
Exactly. He switches to the memories of Ratonhnhaké, Haytham, and Kanedi.io's son. His story really begins with tragedy in 1760. His village is attacked. His mother dies.
And he blames Charles Lee, Haytham's Templar associate.
Initially, yes.
Yeah.
Then, years later, in 1769, the village elder reveals their tribe's duty to protect the temple site. She gives him that crystal sphere. Juno speaks to him, points him towards Achilles Davenport.
The retired assassin mentor figure.
Right. Achilles is hesitant, scarred by past failures, but eventually takes him on, and suggests he adopt the name Connor to navigate colonial society more easily.
From that point, Connor gets deeply involved in the revolution.
For 2 decades of his life, yeah. He's fighting on 2 fronts, really. Trying to protect his people and their land from being swallowed by the conflict, and also trying to root out the Templars' influence within the revolution itself, taking them down one by one.
The story really leans into moral ambiguity here, doesn't it?
Heavily. It's not black and white at all. Connor is systematically assassinating Haytham's Templar allies, fulfilling his assassin duties. But then there's that really uncomfortable, fascinating section where he actually teams up with Haytham.
His own father, the Templar Grandmaster, to take down a rogue Templar.
Yeah, Benjamin Church. It shows the complexity of their relationship, that shared blood, despite the ideological war. Blurred lines everywhere.
And then comes that massive gut punch revelation about Washington.
Oh, that's a brutal twist. Haytham reveals that George Washington himself plans to displace native tribes, including Connor's, suspecting them of siding with the British.
And worse, Haytham claims Washington ordered the very attack that killed Connor's mother years before.
It shatters Connor's view of the Patriot cause. He has this incredibly angry break with Washington, and also with Haytham, for manipulating him with the truth.
His disillusionment just keeps growing. He goes back to his village.
Only to find Charles Lee has recruited some of the Mohawk warriors to fight against the Patriots.
Pitting his own people against each other.
And Connor is forced into this horrible situation. He has to fight his own tribe members, incapacitate them non-lethally where possible. But tragically, he ends up having to kill his childhood best friend, Kanentokon, who refuses to stand down. It's utterly heartbreaking, shows the terrible cost of his path.
While all this intense historical drama is unfolding, the modern-day story is racing towards its climax.
Right. Desmond is out in the real world, grabbing these power sources, these batteries, for the temple, all while being hunted by Daniel Cross, this unstable, modern Templar assassin.
His dad, William, gets captured trying to get the last battery.
So Desmond mounts this daring rescue mission, storms the Abstergo facility in Rome.
Takes out Daniel Cross, takes out Warren Vidic, the head scientist villain since the first game.
Finally kills Vidic, yeah.
Right.
Rescues his father. They have this moment of reconciliation, finally bridging the gap between them.
But it all leads to that final choice in the temple.
The ultimate sacrifice. Juno reveals Desmond can activate the temple device, shield the Earth from the solar flare, but it will kill him.
And Minerva, another first civilization being, argues against it, because activating it will free Juno.
Exactly. Juno is imprisoned in the temple for a reason: she wants to rule humanity. And Juno gives Desmond this chilling alternative. Let the flare hit, Desmond survives, becomes a revered leader, a god to the survivors, but his legacy will be twisted, used to control people, a new kind of Templar world order, basically, founded on his memory.
So faced with those awful choices,
Desmond chooses sacrifice. He saves the world now, giving humanity a chance to fight Juno later on their own terms.
It's a powerful ending for his character arc. An arc they'd apparently planned since the very beginning, even if the details of how it ended changed drastically.
Yeah, the core sacrifice was always intended, just not the spaceship part.
Which brings us to Connor's epilogue, back in 1783. It feels kind of downbeat.
It's very melancholic, yeah. He's succeeded technically. The colonial Templars are gone, the revolution is won, but he feels this profound sense of failure. His people, the Mohawk, are still being oppressed, losing their lands. History rolls on, regardless of his actions.
He couldn't save everyone.
No. And he regrets not being able to reconcile with Haytham, his father. Regrets not finding some way to unite the Assassins and Templars, which the novel Forsaken explores more. But he doesn't give up. He resolves to keep fighting. It's a bittersweet, but determined ending for him.
This really makes you think, doesn't it? What does it mean for a hero to win the battle but still feel like they lost the war for their people?
Exactly. What does that say about the messy reality of history, even after a successful revolution? It's complex stuff.
And there's that final bit in the epilogue, the voiceover.
Oh, yes. Telling the player you define these pivot points hidden in the Animus simulation.
Connect to the cloud. What was that about?
It was a very clear, very deliberate hook for the next game's modern-day plot, setting up the framing device used in Black Flag. Clever bit of meta-narrative.
Let's quickly touch on the characters themselves. Desmond Miles, his story arc concludes here with that sacrifice, the end of an era for the series.
A 5-game journey comes to a close. Then there's Haytham Kenway. He was just such a standout. That surprise factor of playing a Templar was huge.
People loved him, right? Often more than Connor initially.
Very often, yeah. Critics and fans praised him. He was seen as charismatic, complex, a genuinely good villain. His voice actor, Adrian Hugh, got a BAFTA nomination for the performance.
And Haytham's influence lasted. He pops up again in Assassin's Creed Rogue, gets merchandise.
Became a real fan favorite, no doubt. His impact was significant.
Connor, though, more divisive.
Initially, yes. The contrast with the charming Ezio was stark. Connor's much more serious, stoic. Critics called him relentlessly straight-laced and humorless, duller than Altair. Pretty harsh comparisons.
Ouch. But people came around on him later.
I think so. Later analysis, and maybe just more time with the character, revealed more nuance. His seriousness comes from a place of deep trauma and unwavering commitment. He's not flashy, but there's a quiet strength and complexity there that maybe wasn't appreciated at first glance. 4. The journey of development. Crafting a revolution.
Making a game like Assassin's Creed III with all its moving parts and new tech, that must have been a massive undertaking.
Oh, colossal. Development started way back in January 2010.
Right after Assassin's Creed 2 second launch.
Exactly. Which gave it the longest development cycle since the very first game in the series. About 2.5 years.
And it wasn't just one studio. This was a global effort.
Huge collaboration. Over 300 people just at Ubisoft Montreal. Plus, teams helping out from Quebec City and Aussie in France, Singapore, even Ukraine. Coordinating all that was incredibly complex.
And during that long development, the vision changed quite a bit, didn't it?
It certainly evolved. First, there was that confusion about which game was AC3. People thought Brotherhood or Revelations might be it.
But Ubisoft was always clear those were Ezio's story. AC3 meant a new hero, new setting.
Right. But the original plan for the end of Desmond's trilogy, that was something else entirely.
The spaceship ending we mentioned. Adam and Eve 2.0.
Yeah, that was apparently the plan for a long time. Desmond and Lucy defeat Abstergo, solar flare hits, they escape on a spaceship to restart humanity. Lucy's name was even a direct reference to the fossil, the idea of being a progenitor.
Wow. So why scrap that ending? It sounds definitive.
Well, that's kind of the point. Assassin's Creed Tissig was a much bigger hit than maybe they anticipated. It led to those extra Ezio games, Brotherhood, and Revelations.
The series suddenly had much longer legs than they thought.
Exactly. Commercial longevity became a factor. They realized the franchise could keep going. So they made a conscious choice to pivot away from the cataclysmic, series-ending solar flare. They closed Desmond's story, yes, but in a way that allowed the Assassin's Creed universe to continue indefinitely. Creative freedom met commercial reality.
The lead-up to the actual announcement in 2012 was pretty leaky, too.
Oh yeah, hype was building. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot confirmed a major AC game was coming in 2012, called it the biggest to date, a true next-generation experience, said they were investing more than ever before.
Then the leak started. American Revolution setting whispered about.
An inside source supposedly confirmed it in January 2012.
Then that Best Buy employee leaking promotional art in February.
Right around the time Ubisoft started teasing a major announcement on Facebook.
And Game Informer accidentally posting that banner with Connor and Washington.
Classic blunder. It all forced Ubisoft's hand. They officially released the box art March 1st, confirming the setting.
Followed by the big cinematic trailer reveal on March 5th.
And Ubisoft kept emphasizing the ambition. Most ambitious project. Twice the production capacity.
They were really pushing that next-gen on current-gen angle with the AnvilNext engine, too.
Trying to manage expectations while still hyping the tech advancements.
There was that interesting overlap with Red Dead Redemption releasing mid-development, too.
Yeah, that was apparently a surprise internally at Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Red Dead comes out with Hunting, a huge frontier. Features already well underway for AC3.
Did it influence them?
Ubisoft writers said they saw Red Dead's success and wanted to take the open world in new directions, not just copy it. Another writer called it a convergence of minds, suggesting it was more coincidence than direct influence. Hard to say for sure.
There was also that discussion around not having a female protagonist.
Right. Creative director Alex Hutchinson said the American Revolution setting felt like not a strong match for a female assassin.
Which definitely stirred up some controversy among fans wanting more diversity.
It did. It became a talking point about representation in the series.
And back to Haytham, keeping his role as the starting protagonist secret was a masterstroke.
Absolutely. All the marketing focused purely on Connor. Hutchinson later called it an effective idea to draw players in, offer a fresh perspective, playing as a Templar first.
But he admitted it caused some backlash, too.
Yeah, acknowledged some players felt Haytham's section went on far too long for a prologue, which is a fair point. It's several hours long.
Still, Haytham clearly struck a chord. He became a huge part of Rogue later on.
Definitely. Writers on Rogue saw him as a role model for Shay Cormac, the assassin-turned-Templar protagonist of that game. Rogue deliberately filled in some missing chapters of Haytham's life, shows his enduring appeal.
And Adrian Heath's performance was key to that.
Huge. Haytham himself said the team gave him a lot of freedom to shape the character beyond just the script. He felt Haytham was as much his creation as the writers. That collaboration really paid off. Made him a character people still talk about. Cosplay by figures of the authentic Mohawk collaboration, a landmark depiction.
One aspect of asset development that really deserves highlighting is their work with the Mohawk community. They seemed genuinely committed to getting the cultural portrayal right.
It was genuinely impressive, especially for the time. This wasn't just a surface-level check. Ubisoft actively consulted with Tarawi.Trusan Thomas Deere from the Canadian Kahanka Language and Cultural Center.
So he advised on clothes, music, cultural details.
Extensively, but it went much deeper than that. His input led to actual changes in gameplay and cutscenes.
Like the scalping mechanic. That was originally planned.
It was, planned as a game mechanic. But Deere explained that the specific Mohawk people depicted didn't practice scalping in that way. So Ubisoft removed it.
Wow, that's a significant gameplay change based on cultural accuracy.
It really is. Another example. A cutscene featuring ceremonial masks was cut. Deere explained those masks were part of a very private spiritual practice and respectfully asked for their removal. Ubisoft obliged. Shows real sensitivity.
The language too, right? They brought in a teacher.
Yes. Ratonhnhaké Martin, a Mohawk language teacher. He worked closely with Noah Watts, Connor's voice actor, teaching him Reshaped. And Martin was given incredible freedom. He could change dialogue if it didn't sound right or felt culturally off.
That shows a massive level of trust.
It really does. Plus, people from the Kahnawake Mohawk community near Montreal provided voice work and music.
Yeah.
Added real authenticity.
And Connor's name, Ratonhnhaké.Hayt. There was something special about that.
Extremely special. In Mohawk tradition, personal names are unique, sacred, not repeated. The community granting Ubisoft permission to use this sacred Kahnawake name was a huge honor.
And Ubisoft respected that by not trademarking the name.
Exactly. A gesture of profound respect back to the community.
So when you put all that together, it's more than just representation, it's partnership.
It truly felt like a genuine partnership, reshaping parts of the game based on cultural expertise and respect. Thomas Deere himself called the final game a phenomenal achievement for his people. That's incredibly high praise from a consultant, showing how successful that collaboration was perceived to be. A landmark effort, really.
Yeah.
6. Behind the scenes, technicalities, marketing, and controversies.
All right, so with a game this big, built on new tech, there were bound to be some bumps in the road. Technical issues, launch bugs.
Oh, inevitably. Ubisoft tried to manage expectations beforehand, saying the PC version would launch later, but with fewer bugs. Because it would include the big Day 1 patch, they were already prepping for consoles.
So they knew there were issues on console at launch.
Seems likely. Post-launch, they detailed a pretty hefty patch, fixing around 100 different bugs. Things like environmental glitches, NPCs acting weirdly, console crashes, sound sync problems, the usual suspects for a massive open-world game on a new engine.
And didn't they cause a bit of a stir by telling PC players to use a controller?
Huh? Yeah, that was interesting. Ubisoft Montreal, specifically Alex Hutchinson, basically said they didn't invest hugely in a mouse and keyboard setup, implying the optimal experience was with a controller, which, understandably, didn't thrill some dedicated PC gamers who prefer mouse and keyboard.
On the audio side, the music was different this time, too.
Right. The score was by Lorne Balfe, a very talented composer, but it marked the first main Assassin's Creed game without Jesper Kyd, who had done the iconic scores for all the previous main entries. A noticeable shift.
And the marketing, Ubisoft really pushed the boat out, didn't they?
They went all in. Their marketing SVP called it the biggest marketing commitment in Ubisoft's history. They were positioning it as a great jumping-on point for newcomers, too, trying to broaden the audience significantly.
The number of different editions and pre-order bonuses was kind of wild.
Utterly bewildering. It felt like every single retailer had something exclusive. You had steelbooks with art by Alex Ross, DLC packs like Captain of the Aquila or Colonial Assassin with unique outfits and weapons.
U.S. retailers had specific missions, too. GameStop had Mayan Ruins.
Yep, GameStop got the Lost Mayan Ruins mission and the Sawtooth Sword. Best Buy had the Ghost of War mission and Pontiac's War Club. Amazon had an exclusive steelbook,
Even the PlayStation Store had a special gold edition.
bundling the main game, the Vita spin-off Liberation, and the Season Pass, the first time AC offered a Season Pass, guaranteeing access to future DLC.
Wasn't there some drama with stolen copies, too?
Bizarre story. An entire truckload of PC copies for the Benelux region, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, was stolen right before launch. Ubisoft had to scramble to get replacement stock, and importantly, they blacklisted all the stolen serial numbers so they couldn't be activated online. Made them basically useless.
NVIDIA bundled the game with graphics cards, too.
Right, with their new GeForce GTX 650 Ti, showcasing the game's use of TXAA anti-aliasing tech.
And Ubisoft Australia did a charity auction.
For 10 super limited editions, benefiting the Sydney Children's Hospital Foundation. Nice touch.
And the collector's editions. There were so many.
Freedom Edition, Join or Die Edition, Special Edition, Ubi Workshop Edition, Limited Edition, Digital Deluxe, each with different statues, art books, flags, belt buckles, in-game content, a collector's field day, or nightmare.
And that limited edition wasn't sold everywhere because of anti-British concerns.
That ties directly into the biggest controversy surrounding the game before launch, the anti-British accusations.
Right, let's unpack that. A game set in the American Revolution, causing an international marketing headache. What happened?
Well, it raises that question again. How much can marketing distort a game's actual content? And how does history intersect with national feelings? The accusations started around June 2012. Trailers, box art, they heavily featured Connor killing British red goats.
Understandably, that rubbed some people the wrong way. Accusations of American nationalism, anti-British bias.
Exactly. Some outlets explicitly called out trailers as American nationalism.
Marketing didn't exactly back down. Some U.S. trailers even cut out scenes of Connor fighting patriots.
It seemed that way, yeah. Only showing Brits as the enemy in some promotional materials definitely fueled the fire. Lead writer Corey May had to publicly defend the game against charges of bigotry, stressing historical impartiality.
But the perception stuck enough that they pulled the limited edition from the UK and Europe.
That was the outcome, yes. A direct response to that perceived anti-British sentiment.
But what was the reality in the game once people played it?
Interestingly, post-launch reviews widely found the portrayal to be balanced and fair. Critics noted a more mature moral tone, concluded it was not interactive jingoism. The game itself presented both sides, the patriots and loyalists, with flaws.
So the marketing created a perception that the game itself didn't fully support.
It seems that way. A case study in how pre-release hype and selective imagery can create a narrative that doesn't quite match the nuanced final product. 7. Downloadable content and the Remastered Vision.
So the game launches, it's a huge hit. What about keeping people playing? The DLC plan must have been pretty extensive.
Oh yeah, they had a solid post-launch roadmap, largely delivered via that Season Pass we mentioned. Buying the pass gave you access to everything over about 6 months. That included the big story expansion, The Tyranny of King Washington, plus 2 other packs, The Hidden Secrets and The Battle Hardened. and you got them slightly earlier with the pass.
And there was upplay content, too, using points earned in-game.
Right, Ubisoft's loyalty program.
Yeah.
You could spend upplay points on small perks, like bigger ammo pouches, multiplayer profile stuff, Ezio's outfit from Brotherhood for Connor to wear.
And the Renegade Pack.
Yeah, a unique multiplayer costume and some profile items. Little bonuses for engagement.
What was in the Hidden Secrets Pack, released December 2012?
That basically bundled up all those fragmented pre-order and retailer exclusive bits. You got 3 single-player missions, Lost Mayan Ruins, Ghost of War, A Dangerous Secret. Completing those unlock the weapons tied to them, like the Sawtooth Cutlass and Pontiac War Club. Plus, 2 extra single-player outfits and 2 multiplayer characters. Made all that scattered content available to everyone.
And the Battle-Hardened Pack in January 2013, that was multiplayer-focused?
Entirely multiplayer, yeah.
Yeah.
Added 3 new maps, Charlestown, Fort St. Matthew, St. Pierre, and 3 new playable characters, the Governor, the Highlander, and the Coyote Man. Kept the online community engaged.
But the main event DLC was The Tyranny of King Washington, right? That alternate history story.
Definitely the most substantial DLC.
Yeah.
A really bold idea, actually. Set in this alternate reality where George Washington doesn't give up power. He gets corrupted by an apple of Eden, becomes this tyrannical king.
King Washington of the United Kingdom of America.
Exactly. And Connor's mission in this reality is to lead a rebellion against him. It was released episodically in 3 parts throughout 2013. The Infamy, the Betrayal, and the Redemption. Offered a really interesting what-if storyline, and even gave Connor some unique supernatural abilities tied to Native American spirit animals.
And fast forward to the remastered version that included all this DLC.
Yep. Assassin's Creed the 3rd Remastered was the complete package. All single-player DLC was baked in.
Except multiplayer, obviously.
Right, multiplayer was gone. But you got all the story content, all the extra missions and weapons, plus a really cool bonus exclusive to the remaster, legacy outfits.
Ah, outfits from the later protagonists. That was a nice touch for fans.
Brilliant fan service. You could dress Connor as Edward Kenway from Black Flag, Shay from Rogue, Arno from Unity, Jacob Fry from Syndicate, Bayek from Origins, Alexios from Odyssey.
Even Aguilar from the movie.
Even Aguilar's outfit, yeah. A great way to celebrate the whole franchise history while playing AU Day 3, Reception and Legacy, the game's enduring impact.
So, after all that development, innovation, controversy, and content, how did Assassin's Creed III land? What was the overall reception?
Generally positive overall. Critics really praised the narrative ambition, the setting, the sheer scale of it, and the naval gameplay was almost universally lauded as a highlight.
But it wasn't perfect. There were criticisms, too.
Oh, definitely. Common complaints included some unevenly developed mechanics, maybe too many systems that didn't quite mesh perfectly. The mission design was often called out as too prescriptive, too many follow the exact steps objectives that limited player freedom, and pacing issues, especially in the very long prologue and early game, were mentioned quite a bit.
What did the scores look like, Metacritic?
Pretty solid for the original release.
Yeah.
PS3 and Wii U versions got an 85 out of 100. Xbox 360 got an 84. PC was slightly lower at 80, so generally well regarded. The remastered versions, years later, got more mixed scores. PS4 had a 72, Switch a 60 labeled mixed or average. PC got a 75, Xbox One a 76, generally favorable. Suggests maybe the updates didn't fully address all the original's quirks for some reviewers, or standards had changed.
What were some of the specific positive comments?
Critics called it things like combining the best of the franchise, impressive to observe, full of things to do, highlighting its staggering scope and breadth. And many praised its unwavering commitment to storytelling, even with the complex dual narrative.
And the negative points. What specifically bothered reviewers?
Things like, not everything gels together convincingly. That unnecessary prescriptiveness in missions really grated on some. Talk of pacing problems, busy work tedium in some side content, accusations of formulaic design creeping in. Some were quite harsh, mentioning terrible mission design and endemic feature creep, feeling the game tried to do too much. There are also comments that the optional objectives and missions often felt like pattern recognition rather than creative thought, punishing players for deviating.
And the character reception, we touched on this. Connor got a mixed reaction.
Yeah, often compared unfavorably to Haytham, and especially Ezio. Straight-laced, humorless, duller than Altair were some of the descriptors used.
While Haytham was generally liked.
Very much so. Seen as a compelling, charismatic, good villain, the twist of playing him was praised as bold, and Adrian Hu got that BAFTA nomination for the performance. Haytham definitely left a strong positive impression.
We also need to revisit the Native American depiction controversy. Even with the consultation, it wasn't universally praised?
No, it remained a point of discussion. While the direct collaboration was lauded, some still felt the overall portrayal fell into tropes like the noble savage. The focus on the tomahawk as Connor's main weapon sparked debate. Was it reinforcing stereotypes of Native Americans as primitive compared to European weapons?
And criticism that the game focused on Connor's tragedy, but then mostly had him helping white characters.
Right. The idea that it forced pity, but didn't show him achieving lasting victories for his own people in the same way he aided the Patriots. It highlights how complex and sensitive representation is. Ongoing conversations.
Despite the debates, the game did well with awards, right?
It did rack up nominations and wins. 6 nominations at the Spike VGAs in 2012, including Game of the Year and Character of the Year for Connor. It won Best Action Adventure from Game Trailers, Game of the Year from Game Revolution, got an award for animation at the DICE Awards, nominated at GDC, BAFTA, Writers Guild. It was recognized for its quality and ambition.
So putting it all together, despite some criticisms, AC3 was a huge success, critically and commercially.
Massively successful commercially. Pre-orders were record-breaking for Ubisoft at the time, surpassed Brotherhood, outsold Revelations tenfold in the same time frame. Most pre-ordered game in their history then.
Then launch sales were huge.
Phenomenal. Best-selling game in the UK at launch. Biggest Ubisoft launch ever. Third biggest UK launch of 2012 overall. Doubled AC2's launch sales.
How many copies did it end up selling?
Over 3.5 million in the first week alone. Hit 7 million worldwide by December 2012. And reached over 12 million worldwide by March 2013, making it the best-selling game in the entire franchise up to that point. Finished 2012 as a top seller in both the UK and North America, a certified blockbuster.
So its legacy, it closed one big chapter while opening another?
Precisely. It served as this crucial bridge. Desmond's story ended, closing that major arc. But it simultaneously introduced the Kenway saga, Haytham, Connor, and later Edward, which became a whole new beloved pillar of the franchise. It proved AC could reinvent itself.
Did they consider more games with Connor?
Ubisoft indicated it depended on player reaction. Writer Corey May said the plot left plenty of room for sequels. A post-launch survey even asked players about returning to Connor or the Revolution setting, hinting they were exploring options.
But the next game went back in time, right? Black Flag.
Yep. Assassin's Creed IV, Black Flag in 2013. A direct sequel to AC3's modern story, but an ancestral prequel. Introduced Edward Kenway Haytham's father, Connor's grandfather, during the golden age of piracy. Capitalized hugely on that popular naval gameplay.
And Rogue filled in more gaps.
Assassin's Creed Rogue in 2014, yeah. Another prequel focusing on the Templar Shay Cormac. It specifically showed more of Haytham's life during the colonial era, his influence. AC3 really spawned its own mini-universe within the series. Outro.
So that's our deep dive into Assassin's Creed III. We've seen how it pushed boundaries, gameplay, story, that commitment to cultural detail. It was complex, ambitious, definitely sparked some controversy, but ultimately a huge success.
Absolutely. A foundational title that really did reshape the future of the series in major ways.
Hopefully you've now got a much richer understanding of this pivotal game, appreciating the innovations, the behind-the-scenes story, all the layers involved.
And maybe the takeaway here is just how much depth and evolution you can find, even in big blockbuster entertainment. These games can take surprising turns.
It makes you think, too, doesn't it? When a game blends real history with fiction so effectively.
How does that shape how we see those historical events? What's the responsibility there, especially with sensitive cultural moments?
Maybe the real deep dive isn't just the game, but how it makes us question the past itself.
A provocative thought to leave you with.
Definitely encourage you to check out Assassin's Creed III, maybe the remastered version if you haven't, or explore some of the other amazing historical periods the series tackles. There's always more history to uncover.